I am going to cover what is Boto3 for Amazon Web Services. Boto3 is AWS SDK for Python. Boto3 is a powerful library that allows developers to interact with various AWS services. In this video, I will teach you about core concepts of Boto3. If you're looking for using Boto3 in projects, if you want to level up Boto3 skills, and if you need tips and tricks of using Boto3 documentation, this video will comprehensively cover those concepts. The target audiences are AWS developers, SysOps administrators, and architects. Let's begin. Number one, all of you must have AWS account. Number two, make sure you have Python latest version installed on your laptop. Number three, install Boto3 module. Tip 3, Boto3. I have this module already installed on my laptop. Number 4, create IAM user and generate access keys and secret keys with admin access, like this. Go to users, add user. I don't need console access for this. Go next. Select attach policies directly. Select administrator access. Go next and create user. After creating user, open the user, go to security credentials and scroll down, go to access keys, click on create access keys. It provides access key ID and secret key ID. Keep those access keys and secret keys on the screen. Don't close it. Then from command prompt, you must have AWS CLI installed. Use AWS configure. It will prompt for access key ID, provide that. Secret access key, provide that. Default region, your choice, choose any region. And default output format, just keep it empty and hit enter. Default format is JSON. Now, local laptop is configured with access keys, secret keys, which is used by Boto3 for interacting with AWS. Now, open Visual Studio Code in your own location. I have a specific folder created, and in that I want to open Visual Studio Code. So Visual Studio Code got opened. Now our environment is ready. Let's go and see our first example. Let's create file. Let's import Boto3. Save this better. I want to first show you how to list buckets, S3 buckets. I call this file s3-list.py. Import Boto3. And from Boto3, either get the client or resource. Boto3.client S3. This returns a client object. Store that in a variable. This variable name is your choice. And on the client object, look for a method which returns list of S3 buckets. So for that, let's open Boto3 documentation. Search for Boto3 S3. If you know how to use documentation, you can build anything using Boto3. You don't have to learn each and every service, but learn how Boto3 SDK functions, how it works, and you can interact with any AWS service. See here, import Boto3, Boto3.client. S3 is the client we are looking for because we want to make operations on S3. Then it says the available methods. All operations available on S3 is represented as methods. So go down and look for list buckets and see this. We are interested in this list buckets. Open that and client dot list bucket. So copy this client dot list buckets. It will return all buckets present in my account. Let's print the response. Let's open terminal. Python 3 list s3 list.py, and it's giving response in JSON format. See that? Response metadata, request ID, host ID, lot of data coming back from this list buckets call, but we may not be interested in all of that information. Let's use Boto3 documentation to understand the return type. Return type is dictionary, and response syntax looks like this. See, it's a dictionary. Inside that, buckets is the key, and it is list because we're getting multiple buckets. Name of the bucket, creation date of the bucket. Let's say I want to display only names. Let's see how to do that. From the response, because response is a dictionary and buckets is the key which returns me only bucket details. Now execute this. Yeah, see, I'm not getting that meta information. I'm just getting only bucket level details. And again, I don't want everything in this. I want only name. So because it's giving multiple buckets, let's use loop to get bucket names one by one. For bucket in response of buckets, right? See, list, this one list, and inside the list, this is object 1, object 2. So we are getting one bucket at a time, and in that bucket we are interested in the name. So name is the key. What I do is print bucket of name. Now we get only names. As a second example, let's see how to create buckets using Boto3. Create file. Again, import Boto3. Boto3.client of S3. Got it? Now look for methods in this client object for creating a bucket. Now use Boto3 documentation. Just go back to S3 complete page and go to available methods. Say this, create bucket. So open that. You don't have to read entire stuff here, but if you just read the first line, it says creates a new bucket. Correct? Scroll down. It will give you the details about how to use this method, what arguments it takes, which arguments are mandatory, which arguments are optional, so on and so forth. Check request syntax. It says client.create bucket. It's taking arguments like ACL bucket, create bucket, many things, grant read, grant write, so on and so forth. And say this ACL, that is a string. Bucket, that is also a string, and C, bucket name is mandatory. The remaining things are almost optional. Let's use this reference and let's try to create a bucket. Go to next line. Client dot create underscore bucket, right? Bucket equals, you guys know, right? Bucket name must be unique across all AWS accounts. If you want to use what is coming back after calling create bucket method, store that in a response and print it out. Use the terminal. Now this time the script is create bucket. Yes, keep in mind Boto3 response type in majority of cases a dictionary. To read data from the response, you must very well understand dictionaries in Python, and also you must use Boto3 documentation so that you understand what is coming part of that response. What is the key? What type is it? Is it a list? Is it again a dictionary? Those details you can find from Boto3 documentation. Let's see Boto3 documentation for create bucket and what is its response type and structure. This is about request syntax. So come down, you'll see response syntax. So it returns a dictionary, right? And in the response syntax, it says it is going to return back location, but it's giving a bit more additional information as well. Now let's print response of location. And it's giving this one, right? The name of the bucket itself. Now let's see examples of uploading files into S3 bucket later. Listing files from S3 bucket. Create new file. S3 upload.py. Import Boto3. And get Boto3 client for S3. Now go to Boto3 documentation and see the available methods for uploading files into S3 bucket. We are in the page of create bucket. Go to previous page and we get into S3 client page. There, check for methods which allows us to upload objects. See here, upload file, upload file object. You may also have put object. Let me check. Upload file, right click, open, and see this. You get the client and client.upload file, the file path in your local, the bucket where you want to upload, and the file name inside the bucket. So we already have these two lines. Let me copy the last line. So here, rename S3 to client, upload file, file path. I'll create one dummy file. Some file, okay, hello.txt, leave it. because it is in a current folder itself. Directly give the name and specify the bucket name. So let's do one thing. Let's get list of buckets and pick up name from that. Okay, let's use the bucket we created and see, locally this is the file name, and after uploading file to S3 you can give a different name if you wish. So let us do this. I mean, let's add few more files. I will say hello2.txt, hello3.txt, and let me call this 3 times. Maybe this is not a better way of doing it, but still fine. Our focus is not on the best practices. Our focus is how to use Boto3. I'll make this hello2 hello3.txt. Fine. Python 3 s3 upload. Okay, something went wrong. No such file or directory hello.3.txt. Okay, there is a typo. Now it is fixed. Run again and there should not be any exception. So again use no, we don't have the method, I mean the script for listing objects. Now let me write a code for listing objects in this S3 bucket. So copy this, list objects dot py, and check Boto3 documentation for listing objects. We have seen listing buckets, but now we want to see listing objects. So go back to the client page, list objects, right? It takes, I mean, method name is list underscore objects, and the bucket name, of course bucket name is the mandatory field. So copy that, paste it here, and accept bucket name, nothing else is required. So here provide the bucket name and let us see what it returns, and from that let us see how to get file names, how to print file names. This is request syntax. If you go down you'll find response syntax. Return type is dictionary, and response syntax, inside the dictionary we have things like contents. See that contents, because you may have more than one file. Key, this is the name of the file. You also can get loss modified, e tag, a size, so on and so forth. What shall we do is, let us get only file name and its size. So from response of contents is a list. So we should do looping on response of contents. Let's try that. For file in response of contents, print file of key and size. Right. So open terminal, Python 3, list objects.py. Expected 3 objects, but we see only one file. Let's see what happened in upload. All right, so this is a problem. I gave same file name all 3 times. So what happened? Last one is picked up and other 2 files got overridden. So what I do is hello2 and hello3, so that we see 3 entries, right? And now do list objects, we should get 3. Of course content is same, just file name is different. Hello.txt, its size, hello2.txt, its size, so on so forth. Okay, let's see few examples on EBS volumes. First, let's begin with listing EBS volumes. Okay, the task is to list EBS volumes present in my current region. As usual, import Boto3, Boto3.client. This time the operations are on EC2. Earlier it was on S3. Client, and go and figure out document for EC2. Let's close this one and Boto3. I'm sorry, it's not stop instant, just again sorry, Boto3 EC2. Go to EC2 document and find the method for listing volumes. So scroll down, this code I have written, and check available methods for listing volumes. Go down, you will find it under D, that is describe volumes. Describe, scroll down, otherwise right, do Control F. On MacBook it is Command F. Describe underscore volumes, click on it and check the request syntax. Method name is describe volumes and arguments it takes are filters, volume IDs, dry run, max results, next token. So next token is about pagination, because in one shot you may not be able to get so many number of EBS volume details. So that's where pagination comes into picture. First you get bunch of volumes. If there are more volumes to fetch, you need to pass this next token which is returned in previous call and get a few more. But anyways, I will call this method without using any of these arguments. All these parameters are default, not required. Let's call this method without using any parameters, and I will also show how to use a filter parameter. So copy this, client dot describe volumes. I store that in a response. Now let us check the response structure and see how to fetch data from it. Scroll down, return type dictionary, and response syntax, response of volumes. And what shall we do is, let's print size and volume ID for now. Now response of volumes, use for loop, for volume in response of volumes, volume of volume ID, volume of size. Open terminal, Python 3, list volumes, enter. You'll get all volumes present in my account. Volume ID, its size. Right. Let's extend this example and see how to use filters. Go to the top, to the request syntax, copy this, close the terminal for time being, put that filter inside this method. So it takes one or more filters, and by applying those filters it will get EBS volumes. Let's say I want all volumes which are not in use, which are not used by EC2 instances. So go to filter parameter and see the filter parameter names that can be used. Now we want to see volumes which are not in use. So for that we can use status filter, and if its value is available, then this volume is available, not used by any EC2 instance. Let's copy the name of the filter, and these are the supported values for this filter. Under name, put status, under values, say available. So this time it is not going to fetch all volumes, it's going to fetch only available volumes which are not in use. See, there is only one volume which is not in use and its size is 70 GB. Let's go to AWS EC2 and check volumes, and we have 8 of course, and see this one 70 GB available, meaning not used by any EC2 instance. Let's say you have a use case where you want to find all volumes which are not in use. Maybe some developers created volumes and left it like this, and we want to do a cleanup and do cost optimization. This piece of code will be useful for doing such activities. Now I want to delete if volume is not in use, right? For deleting, again, let's check Boto3 documentation. So go there, go backward, go to EC2 client and check for delete volume. So client.delete volume ID. So copy this. So inside this loop, dry run not required, volume ID is required, that you get using volume of volume ID. That's it. See, I'm putting a filter, status available, it returns only volumes which are available, not used by any instances, and I'm calling delete volume, which deletes the volume. So execute this. This volume should have been deleted. So earlier we had 8, correct? This one should go off if I refresh, and it should become 7. I will close this session by showing the last example on describing EC2 instances. I call this list instances.py, import Boto3, get EC2 client, and check Boto3 documentation for a method to get all instances. So go back to EC2 client, do Control F. On Mac, do Command F. The method name is describe instances. It is not list instances, it's describe instances. This method also has filter, instance IDs, max results, but all of them are optional. So first let's go with describe instances without passing any parameters. I mean client dot describe instances, store response in a variable, and print the response. Open terminal, Python 3, list instances. You're going to get very big JSON object, very big, and I'm not interested in all of this information. So right now I'm only interested in instance ID and its status. If it is running, it should print running. If it is stopped, it should print stopped. To implement that logic, again, go and check Boto3 documentation, response structure. This is request syntax. Go down and check for response, and this is a very big response structure. For beginners, you may have confusions about why they named it reservations, why they named it groups, but a simple tip is don't bother about the names used by Boto3. Only care about what you need so that your life becomes easy. So out of this, I want instance IDs. Number one. See, reservations, it's a list. Inside that, instances, again, it's a list. And inside that, we got object. In the object, we get instance ID. And monitoring state, instead of going with monitoring, there is state directly. State.name. So first, let me print instance IDs. Why? Because otherwise you may confuse. All right. Reservations, response of reservations. Do a loop on this because it's a list. For reservation in response of reservation. See the convention. I'm looping on reservations. So I'm calling this reservation. So reservation of instances. This is again a list. It's a list. We need to do one more loop for instance in reservation of instances. Inside this, we are interested in instance ID. Instance of instance ID, and I want to print its status. Go down, state, it's a dictionary, state of name. instance of state and state of name. So list instances and see that instance ID stopped, instance ID running. So likewise, you can get anything you wish from the response. Describe instances also support a filter. Go above and check filters. See, it is supporting so many filters. You can get instances based on its architecture, based on its availability zone. Let's say you want to get instances in a specific availability zone, right? Maybe you want to get instances using a specific image ID, instance type, right? Or even you can get based on its instance status, like I want to get stopped instances, I want to get running instances based on this one, instance state code or instance state name, pending, running. So let's see, getting instances that are in stop state. So filter name becomes this, correct? Let's copy filters, copy this. So here, get the filter name and let the state be stopped. Instance state name and the supported values. So here, right, so this code will find only instances that are in stop state. And perfect. Guys, this is about the Boto3 concepts I want to cover. Thanks for watching.